Good afternoon on what is a bright, warm, but slightly blustery day. It is Thursday the 1st of September and I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a box to open. So grab the knife. Okay. Got it here. And what I have is this, which is low fantasy gaming, less magic, more grit, and it's another retro clone. So let's have a look. So it's published by Pickpocket Press. So we get into table of contents and description of what low fantasy gaming is. So simple rules, fast and engaging combat, dangerous and gritty, quasi-realistic world, treacherous magic, bold adventurers, open sandbox, and generic rule set. So, okay, it's D20 based, 9 classes, 12th level max, unique features. Every third level design your own PC ability in conjunction with your GM or choose from 36 examples. And various basically features. It's essentially it up front. What I like is, okay, this is what this game is about, this is what it features, these are the mechanical features, this is why you play it. And then we get into how to play. And I mean, the thing is, not every role-playing game these days actually does a fully formed example of play, but here we are, we've got one. Not every role-playing game needs one, but one of the things that kind of I feel that a role-playing game does need is a good example of play, seeing the rules in actual play, not little snippets, but sort of like an extended scene. And then we have how to create character, and I really like the artwork. The artwork is you know, pretty good, decent. Yeah, we've basically got the standard range of attributes. We've got 7, so the core 6 are there, and they're joined by perception. Sorry, well, basically we've got strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, perception, willpower, and charisma. So we've got, and then luck. We have the typical races, but we also have things like half scorn, whatever they are, elves, halflings, and so on. The classes are the artificer, including alchemy and mechanica, barbarian, and you can see essentially that uses intelligence, and at first level you get to work with black powder weapons like a breathing mask, a chain tooth weapon, a corroding spray, flash rigs, fume flask, hellfire glass. You know, just the inventions you can create, and presumably more as you level up. And then, you know, might be also an iron ward or a thunder gauntlet or a mutagen and so on. And then, you know, a new skill at 4th and 8th level, major breakthrough at 5th level, supercharged at 8th level, house of gears, 10th level, so on. You know, essentially these are kind of standard class types, features for Dungeons and Dragons style role-playing games. So the barbarian has ferocious rage, the bard can inspire greatness and is silver-tongued. You can be a cultist with blessings, and the cultist isn't necessarily a negative side. Basically, you're just dedicated to God, so it could be a church instead of a cult. and you've got a list of example gods. I mean, some really quite nice illustrations in here as well. I'm quite impressed by these. These are nice pieces. Fighters, of course, magic users. And the magic users is actually shown sort of like wielding a spear there. Monk. Ranger. I mean, for the most part, these will be familiar. These will be familiar to and Rogue, and then familiar to you from your Dungeons and Dragons style role-playing game, and then at third level, sixth level, so on, you can have unique features like adaptable. You get a limited version of the fighter adaptability, learn 2 fighting styles, or you can become a combat medic, enter a Faustian pact, ferocious rage, and then some of these are specific. Some of these are sort of like specific to a class, but some of the cross class. So you can design your character how you want. Then we've got a simple list of skills, and then bonds with the party. So essentially, there to help build party cohesion. Then we have the marketplace, so you can go and buy your equipment. Including built, so we actually have all the equipment you need, including gear packs, animals, lifestyle expenses, buildings and construction if you get enough gold, weapons, which take into account metal, and then metal type, then melee weapons and ranged weapons. And then you get on to doing things with attribute checks and skill checks and so on, and covering things like degrees of success or failure. So that may well be a little bit more complex. I don't know. It says low fantasy gaming, but the rules themselves look not overly complex, particularly, but essentially they might be more complex than low fantasy gaming suggests, if you are taking into account degrees of success. So combat, and we've got a nice illustration of a combat atop the roof of a building, it almost collapsing underneath their feet. Rules for chases. So you've got a table of chase events. Again, roll on a d20. And then there's sub rules, so you might have a random setback and so on. Then we get into the actual action. Again, illustration with this sort of like a really decent artwork, I think. And then you have you can attempt major, minor, and rescue exploits. You might use a minor exploit might be an opposed strength to knock an opponent off his feet, grab hold of him with one hand, driving back 10 feet, thrown through a window, and so on. An opposed deck check perhaps to disarm, but major exploits might be spearing a Tyrannosaurus Rex in one eye, causing it to suffer perceptual penalties and a chance of missing. A rescue might be, just grabbing someone before they go off a cliff or something like that. And major exploits and rescue exploits are the province of the player characters. Then we have fighting style, single weapon fighting, 2-weapon fighting, two-handed style, and so on. Factors like cover and positioning come into play. Before we get on to injuries and healing, which includes injuries and setbacks table. Then we get on to magic. So it's got quite a sort of like a low earthy feel, and we have a big table of for dark and dangerous magic, and that actually spreads over 3 pages, similarly divine blessings and rebukes, spreads over just as much. And then we've got extended spell lists for your different classes, up to level 6, and then essentially lots of different spell descriptions, and these are presented in basically alphabetical order. So I'm not going to basically, there we go, just a page of spells. So I'm going to flip forward a bit because honestly, and then rules for advancement, whether you do that during play or during downtime. And then we've got, so that's all for the player. Then we get on to the GM tools here. And this includes things like black powder and ships, skirmishing, magic artillery, that sort of thing. So you can actually do, small scale battles. Then we've got a nice set of deck plans, small deck plans there, plus rules for ship customization, disease, of course, and then dungeon room generator, because it's that start of the game. And these could have been quite extensive, in fact, but they're just limited to the one table. But you will actually need a 30-sided die for that. And then rules for exploration, and then sort of like potential overland events, which include facing overwhelming forces, discovering ancient ruins, random encounter, perfect campsite, low on supplies, and so on. And the same thing they do for underground events, flight events, random encounters, aerial cities, towns and villages, deserts, forests and woodlands, and jungles. Again, I actually really like the artwork in here. It's evocative of, the old school style of games, especially sort of like the it's not quite Warhammer style, but it's got a grim and gritty feel. So, and then we'll have rules for hirelings, complete rolling those up. Just tables for rolling up hirelings, and including which are basic hireling traits, which might be bold or hairless or 7-foot giant. They've got a lisp, and then a catchphrase, which might be not how I'd have done it, or thought I was smarter than this. Smells like a trap. That's a really nice touch, I think. And they do the same for pets, and we've got rules for madness and madness traits. And then we actually get onto the rules for mass battles, as opposed to the earlier skirmish rules. And then which include things like "With me, brothers," or "Hold the line," and "Dark Ritual," and in the thick of it, a sudden twists for being in mass battles. Because you can run a great big mass battle, and really all you need to do is just to say, "Oh, this is happening over there," whilst the player characters are getting on with their bit of the battle. Unless they're actually doing the leading of the battle. Then we have monsters. And so it's still like the artwork in here. And they've got a list of monsters: ordinary, aberrant terrors, demons and devils. It's all there. Not all is illustrated, which is disappointing. But getting all of the artwork for all of these different entries is going to be difficult and expensive. So yeah, and these are all organised by types of giants, lycanthropes, serpent men, and so on. So we've even got tables of rival adventurers, because obviously the player characters are not the only ones Tavern Brawl table. Things to happen in a tavern brawl. How to design traps. So, you know, how to set up a traitor pit. And this is quite specific, or a harpoon crusher, a flesh eater tank. These are quite specific in their design, and evoke memories of Grimtooth's traps. Treasure, of course, once the player characters have got past all the traps and found stuff. So lists of traps and treasure, scrolls, individual magical items, and then others, doesn't have anything in the way of a particular. Here's the limits of the setting. The Midlands really only runs to a couple of pages, well, even a page and a half actually, because you've got a list of other settings there. It's about a page. Well, basically a page and a quarter, and then list of spell conversions. So essentially you can adapt low fantasy gaming from its original to deluxe version and back again. NBC and a generator, unit combat cheat sheets, and so on, and that's what the character generation system looks like. So this is a very, and you also got an index at the end. So this is, another alternative to playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's an old school Renaissance retro clone. I quite like the look of this one. It's got a nice feel to it. I certainly would like to have seen more of the Midlands setting that it suggests. Perhaps that'll be in the other supplements. But in the meantime, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box, which I will unbox, and containing a book or game which I'll unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.